Today we're going to spend some time, we're going to make some fire starters here. You can see the two types here. We'll go over the materials. Here's what you're going to need. You need some sort of form material to hold the fire starter. I used egg cartons. I also used a number of these little wedges I made up from cardboard. You're going to need some leftover candles. So I used some old tea lights and leftover candles around the house that we keep, and you're going to need a can or a pot to melt them, and I used an old can because then I can throw it out at the end. For the form material, you can use really any type of form material. I've seen these cups made from those small ketchup containers that fast food restaurants have. I suppose you could use very small muffin cups. These corrugated items here were leftover packaging material from putting together some flat pack furniture from a retailer such as IKEA. When I saw it there, I thought, impregnated with wax, these would probably make good little fire starters, so I hung on to them for a while until I got around to making these starters. So you can see there with the cardboard in there, it's got lots of surface area for the wax to kind of soak into, and it should be able to hold a pretty good flame. That was the thought anyways. You can see at the end here, I managed to go over both these ones as well as the egg carton ones to see how they fared up with each other. You're going to need some sort of knife as well, as you saw there, to cut it. I used both an X-Acto knife I started with thinking it might work easier, as well as I used a utility knife, and I found really no difference between either one. Now, the egg crates that you're going to need to use are going to be the fiber or the paper form. I wouldn't recommend using the polystyrene ones or foam ones. You do want to cut this off. Now, on the larger egg crate here where you see the high center points, I didn't cut them off, although I have seen that they have cut them off in other videos. After you get your egg crates together, if you do a lot of woodworking, it's handy to save your sawdust or your shavings. I didn't have any around at the time, so I took a drill to an old piece of wood. It is a pressure treated piece of wood, but I'm burning it anyways in the stove. I'm not going to be inhaling the fumes from this, but once you've got your sawdust or your wood chips together, fill your egg crates, your egg cartons with it. Remove the tea lights or other candles from their holders. In this case, I was able to pull out the wick as well as the metal part that holds the tea lights and throw it off to the side. This didn't take too long, and really all you're looking for is a source of wax. If you don't have any extra candles around the house, if they're not burned, you just don't have anything, a good idea, I guess you could go out and buy some paraffin wax or a block of wax and make it. But in this case, we've already spent the money on the tea lights. We've already had the candles around for a period of time in the house, so I just hang on to the old ones. Put them on an old camp stove outside, and that way, if it did boil over or wasn't intended, which I wouldn't recommend not watching while you're heating wax on the stove. And the shattered remnants candles. Giving it a good stir here, it does melt fairly quickly. You want to put a piece of plastic down to make sure that you have a drop cloth, so that if the wax slops on the floor, which you will see it does, then when it cools you're able to pick it up and put it back in the pot and make it for your next round. So once you heat up your wax and you melt it, all you have to do is pour it over your egg containers to soak and saturate each of the containers that are filled with wood, so that the wax gets all around in it. Because it's warm and it is the egg containers are made of paper, it does soak into the paper fairly well. to show you. This is all wax and whatnot, so we'll get some more wax going. It's all gone. There you go. Okay. We'll let that cool and we'll peel it up and we'll throw it back in there. Didn't really take all that long for the wax to start hardening up. I had some additional one. I did pour it on the other one. I wouldn't do that again if I was to do it. You see on the bottom there, it just congealed right on the surface. It wasn't hot enough really to soak in. So here I am. I'm going through and I'm dipping the cardboard pieces here that I made into the wax. The wax is warm. It is melted. It's not overly hot, so there really wasn't any danger of me burning my fingers on it. I guess your own sensitivity to, you know, the heat of this will dictate whether or not you will use a pair of tweezers or I guess a pair of pliers or something to dip them in. It didn't seem to bother me. Like I say, the wax was more warm than hot. But each piece got filled pretty good with the wax, and there was enough wax sitting on the surface, enough to soak in as well, enough just to sit on the surface of it. So here we are all done. All the containers have been dipped, or rather all the pieces have been dipped and all the containers have been filled. Well, there's only one thing left to do, and that's take these little fire starters outside, light them up, and see how long they actually burn. All right. So we'll try here. Start with one of these. As you can see, I just got loose in the bag here. Been all cut up and trimmed to nice little pieces like this. So we're gonna give it a try. Here we go, we got a match. That's it. Yeah. So melted the wax in there. So the wax ran out of it. But it burned for about a minute, I bet. So I think we'll keep one of these. This should burn quite a lot. Large fire starters burn for 29 minutes and 8 seconds. The small ones, 1 minute 57 seconds. So if you've got a pile of wet wood and you need to get a fire going like we had out in Spruce Woods this year, or it's minus 30 degrees and you really want to get that stove in your hot tent going, these little fire starters are going to do just the trick.